We're going to be solving quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. You do have to know the quadratic formula. It's x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. You also have to know that the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. It's what is underneath the radical. If the discriminant is positive, you're going to have two real solutions. If it's equal to 0, you're going to have one real solution. And if the discriminant is negative, you're going to have no solutions. I'm going to solve 2x squared plus 7x plus 4 equals 0 using the quadratic equation or quadratic formula and rounding to the nearest hundredth. Okay, so in this problem, I need to know what my a, b, and c are before I even begin. So I always like you to write out to the side what your a, b, and c are. So this would be ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So my a is 2, b is 7, and c is 4. Okay, then you need to get in the practice of writing the quadratic formula, which is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Then all you have to do is plug in the numbers that you have. So b is 7, so we're going to have negative 7 because it's negative b, plus or minus the square root of b squared, so 7 squared, minus 4a, which is 2, c, which is 4, all over 2a, which is 2 again. So then I'm going to simplify this. So I've got negative 7 plus or minus the square root of, I'm going to simplify one thing at a time. So 49 minus 4 times 2 is 8, times 4 is 32, all over 2 times 2 is 4. So this would give me negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 17 all over 4. Now I am going to show you how to put this in your calculator in class, but you can do all of this at the same time, or you can do piece by piece, whichever you rather. If you do each, like if you put the square root of 17 by itself in your calculator, do not round anything until you get your final answer. So when you do, you're going to go, you would put negative 7 plus the square root of 17, enter, divided by 4. And when you do that, you would get one answer, which would be, it should be negative 0.72 or negative 0.72. And then if you go negative 7 minus the square root of 17 all over 4, you should get negative 2.78. I want you to pause the presentation right here and make sure that you can do that in your calculator. But these are both of your answers. In this problem, solve 3y squared plus 2y equals 8y. It's not in quadratic form first, so we need to do that by getting the 8y onto the left side. So when I do that, I would get 3y squared minus 8y plus 2 equals 0. And that's in the quadratic form that we like, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And it doesn't really matter what variable they use, okay? So your a is going to be that 3, b would be the negative 8, and c would be the 2. So we have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So you can see where I'm getting the a, the b, and the c from, okay? Then we plug that in the quadratic formula, which is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I have a negative b, right? So b is already negative, so I'm going to have a double negative, which we know is going to turn into a positive 8 over b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So when I simplify that a little bit, I'm going to get a plus or minus the square root of 64 minus 4 times 3 is 12, times 2 is 24, all over 6. Simplify that down some more. 64 minus 24 is 40 over 6. And I'm going to do both separately. So 8 plus 40, the square root of 40 over 6. and you should get 2.39. And then 8 minus the square root of 40 over 6, and you should get 0.28. And again, you can do that in your calculator. And in this problem, I wanted you to round to the nearest hundredth. So there you go. This question is not wanting you to solve using the quadratic formula. It wants you to use the discriminant to find how many roots there are for the equation. So remember, if you have a positive root, you're going to have 2. If it's equal to 0, you're going to have 1. And if you have a negative answer, there are going to be no real roots. Okay, so this is positive, 0, and negative, and this is the number that you're going to end up having, number of answers. Answers, roots, same thing. It's where your graph, if you graphed it, would cross the x-axis. Okay. So how do you get that? You get that by using the discriminant, which is b squared minus 4ac. And in this problem, again, the a is 2, b would be 6, and c would be 3. So we're just going to plug these in. 6 squared minus 4 times 2 times 3. You get 36 minus 4 times 2 is 8, times 3 is 24. 36 minus 24 is 12. So the value of the discriminant is 12. Okay, this right here, that is my discriminant. Since the discriminant is a positive number, you're going to have 2 real roots. And that means that it crosses the x-axis at 2 different places. So that is my answer. This is another problem where they want you to state the value of the discriminant and determine the number of real solutions for the equation. So again, like I said, the real solutions and real roots, same thing. It's where the graph would cross the x-axis. So the formula for the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. So let's list what our a, b, and c are for this problem. So the a is 2, b would be 5, and c would be negative 8. So I'm just going to plug those numbers into the formula for the discriminant. So I've got 5 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 8. So give me 25. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Times negative 8 would be a positive 64. So 25 plus 64 is 89. So that is my value for the discriminant. Sorry. That is my value for the discriminant, and since it is positive, you have 2 real roots. So that is all my answer.